Diane has worked so hard on this. She understands, going back to the day she found the mayor dead in his office, having been killed, how strongly she feels about that. I know that. But right now, her amendment, using the most optimistic numbers, has less than 40 votes. That's not 60. I have to get something on the floor so we can have votes on that issue and the other issues that I've talked about.
Welcome to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. That was Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid explaining why Democrats didn't follow through on President Obama's call for an assault weapons ban. Political Diary editor, Wall Street Journal editorial board member Jason Riley is here. Jason, we've started to explore this theme on the show of divisions within the Democratic Party. What are the camps when it comes to assault weapons bans? Kind of a Reid versus Feinstein?
Well, it's pretty incredible, Mary. You remember the president's rallying cry at the State of the Union this year. You know, Gabby Giffords deserves a vote. The families of Aurora and Newtown deserve a vote, and so on. Biggest applause lines of the entire speech, perhaps. But I guess Harry Reid disagrees. They don't deserve a vote. I'd like these Democrats to be put on record as being in favor of limiting the Second Amendment for the rest of us. But I understand this is a tactical move by Harry Reid. He's got about 10 Democrats from red states up for re-election in the Senate next year, including from places like Alaska and Arkansas, and he's trying to give them some cover.
We've got a list of some of those red state Democrats we're going to flash up on the screen right now. Let's just focus in on Harry Reid for a second. Did he not put this on the floor because of these red state Democrats alone? Or does he also have a problem with his own constituency doesn't want an assault weapons ban?
I think it's both. Remember, this is, you know, Harry Reid could have brought this up anytime he wanted to. He's been in a leadership position for a long time. When the last assault weapons ban expired, it could have been renewed. He doesn't want to do it. Many Democrats in leadership positions don't want to do it. They see it as bad politics. I see it as bad policy, however.
Why?
In addition to being bad politics, because none of the things we're talking about doing would address the problems we claim to be responding to. Background checks or assault weapons. Most violent crime involving guns in this country, the vast majority, does not involve assault weapons.
And we've had a lot of recent examples of this in Chicago, in Brooklyn, Newtown.
The teenager that performed at the president's inaugural, who was shot in Chicago afterwards, recently here in Brooklyn. The kid that was shot by police after allegedly brandishing a gun. These are handguns. And that is representative of the type of violence, of gun violence, we should be focused on. Assault weapons bans and background checks are going to do nothing. There's no evidence that they will do anything to stop that type of violence.
Jason, I want to go back to the president. This was his initiative. He very publicly backed an assault weapons ban. Why is it that he doesn't suffer any political fallout for failing to rally his own Democratic Party members in the Senate, which they control?
The magical Obama. How does he manage to keep his head above water?
Is it
but he hasn't delivered
Republicans
on
aren't holding him to account?
He seems to find other ways to win over appeal from the public. He hasn't come through with immigration reform as promised. He was talking about a gun a ban that he promised. He hasn't closed Gitmo either. Mary promised to do that. Somehow he manages to keep his head above water. But in this case, again, I think this is these are bad policies that would do nothing to address the problems that they claim to be in response to. So on the one hand, I'd like to see those Democrats on the record. I think it would be useful, a useful exercise to have them vote on this issue. I understand the tactical pressure that Harry Reid is under.
Okay, well, it's a story we're going to continue to follow. Political Diary editor, Wall Street Journal editorial board member Jason Riley. Thank you for being with us.